Hey, I'm Mac. Welcome back to my channel. As always, don't forget to like, subscribe, and consider joining my Patreon for access to new videos 12 to 24 hours early. I realized that because I have an audience that, according to my analytics, is roughly 93% women and 7% gay men. If there are any heterosexual men here, hi. That for my audience, this might be a bit of an unfamiliar subject to you. We're going to talk about a figure that has an absolutely massive male audience, the incredible social media user, triathlon starter, and author of the New York Times bestseller list eligible book simulator built through Courage, Dave Hollis. Now, don't worry, I know all the women inside of this audience are like, Dave Hollis, who is that? Because of how just incredibly male dominated his audience is, or at least that's what he'd like to believe. See, Dave Hollis suffers from a condition that I'm going to term misogyny related audience dysphoria. He needs to perceive himself and his content as having value, and in order for it to be of any value inside of his mind, it needs to be valued by men. Because if men like something, that means it's a good and worthwhile thing. But if women like something, well, we won't hold that against it, as long as men like it too. Dave's behavior and choices following the divorce are honestly quite baffling and suggest several broad conclusions about the guy. First, he has no idea what made Rachel Hollis's content and conferences such a massive success. He seems to think that if he can just do a third-rate emulation of the things Rachel wrote inside of her blogs, books, and said at her motivational conferences, that should lead to a similar success for him analogously with men. This is not the case. Rachel, despite what she'd later infamously claim in Toiletgate, was incredibly successful because she came across as outrageously relatable to many women. And that relatability came packaged with having very positive and encouraging messaging that really struck a chord at just the right time and found all the right people. This is not Dave. I think that because of the social position of men being the social majority, meaning holding the majority of the power despite being the statistical minority, there's not this market for relatability for men. Men currently have and have always had more spaces to discuss problems and challenges and struggles without being told to, shut up or stop being shrill or getting shut down or ignored or what have you. Not to say that there aren't problems, but that pent up demand for relatability, I feel, does not exist for men the way that it does, or at least did, for women. Second, the man is clearly totally lost and has completely lost his direction inside of life. The man is all over the place, shilling random products on Instagram, going on 2-hour rants demanding his followers buy his $18 book, starting challenges and not finishing them, and spending uproarious amounts of time flying everywhere with his rebound. Seriously, Dave, what the hell do you even do? What's your product? When it was the Hollis Company, it was Rachel, the motivational speaker and author. Why should anyone want to hear or read anything you have to say, Dave? If you want to market yourself to men, appearing haphazard and directionless is generally not super appealing to other men, I'm just saying. Which is, third, yet another concept he fails to grasp about Rachel's success. She was a person, or at least portrayed a person, that other women saw as someone they wanted to emulate or someone who had what they wanted to have. She was energetic, she was optimistic, she was motivating, she was fun. She was a successful author and speaker. She was doing really well financially. She was a mother. She ran her own business and she was relatable, meaning maybe if you took her advice, you could have her success and attitude and great life for yourself too. What exactly does Dave have that would cause other men to want to emulate him? Why on earth would anyone want to receive advice from him? So that you can follow his advice and end up with a life just like his? Because that sounds really awful. He has no real job. He doesn't even really have an occupation at this time unless he's still calling himself an author. Shit, even Google, when you type in Dave Hollis, summarizes him as ex-husband of Rachel Hollis, because that's who he is to the public. The only audience he has is people who followed Rachel and maybe still follow her, or people who followed Rachel until they were put off by Toiletgate and then started following him. His entire social media presence is 0% the result of any personality traits he has, any skills he possesses, or content he's created, or anything that has anything at all whatsoever to do with him. It is 100% the result of proximity to Rachel. Rachel could have gotten to her peak popularity with any other source of $300,000 a year and some decent connections. It didn't have to be Dave. Dave could not do that, though. Dave would not have had 2 published books or hundreds of thousands of social media followers without Rachel. Fact. Okay, Dave? Can we make this absolutely crystal clear here? You did not get a book deal or a social media following because you're a good writer or because you're an interesting or even likable person. You got those things exclusively as a result of being in Rachel's orbit. I guarantee you, if anyone else had been married to her at that time, they too would have gotten a book published and a social media following. Literally anyone. Rachel could have been married to a wet cabbage, and on the New York Times bestseller list would have appeared "Get Out of Your Own Way," written by Wet Cabbage. Because it's nothing to do with you and everything to do with her. And he's not even good at taking advantage of that, because he had an absolutely golden opportunity following the divorce to really capitalize on the incredible amount of goodwill he received in the audience perception of him. And he completely squandered it little by little until finally seizing defeat from the jaws of victory via Pancakegate. So, what is our favorite unbarbered SBIP captain up to now? Well, I find it comforting to know that some things never change, like Dave Hollis's complete obliviousness and or delusional self-perception, as evidenced by the fact that he will be holding his all-new men's conference, Congruent Conference, from Friday, February 4th to Sunday, February 6th, 2022. Now, when I was an undergraduate at USC, I attended a lot of all-male weekends, but I'm guessing this conference is going to be a little bit different from those. But why don't we just go ahead and take a look at the IGTV posted by Dave himself announcing this amazing opportunity. Okay, let's go.
Top of the Tuesday evening. Hello, welcome. My name is Dave. I'm sitting under a light that is throwing a little strange light on this, the shortest day of the year, on my face. Welcome. Hello.
Dave, why don't you just set up the lighting before, like, you don't have to just press broadcast right away. You, I have a strong suspicion that you might be able to change the lighting and check it before you go live.
I mentioned in my stories that my friend Wade King and I are going to have a conversation tonight. Hi, Kimberly. Welcome. I know. Try again. Technology and me. Sarah, hello. Mandy, what is happening? Literally, technology and I never have been friends. It's a thing that never totally works the way that I might like. But I'm going to bring my friend, Mr. Wade King, right in here.
Maybe it's because you don't plan very well.
We're going to have a conversation about this thing that I mentioned in my stories. I am trying something that I've never tried before, which means
That's what your dad said last night.
that I am 90% excited and 10% terrified. We are throwing ourselves a men's conference. That's right. Men's conference is happening in February the 4th through the 6th, and I wanted to come on here and answer any questions that anyone has. As gifts go, we have an opportunity, if you are a human who has a man in their life, and you're like, man, that gift that I wanted to get them isn't going to come in time. Well, good news, we have a gift that can come right in time. It is a ticket to this conference. All right, let's bring Wade in. It is, in fact...
Well, what's the gift then? Is the gift the conference? Wow. I would, if someone got me that as a gift, I would dump them immediately. I'd be like, yeah, so we're over. Yikes. Listen, the reason that men don't need a conference that is just for men is the same reason that straight people don't need a straight pride parade.
Just for men. Wade and I were sitting having a conversation about a year ago about, oh, there he is, you handsome son of a gun.
That's you.
What is up, my man?
Hey, how are you?
I am doing well. Christmas tree in the background.
Does he know that other people, like when they're either chatting with him or when they're watching a live from him, like does he know that we can see it? I don't know. Like this whole time am I supposed to like point out everything back here? Oh, see, I have this in the background, so I'm having a great day. It's Sunday night. I already hate this Wade guy. I don't even know who he is.
Light right overhead, casting immediately over my face. I'm not sure that's...
Yeah, so for us, Dave, this is the second time that you've specifically talked about the light. And if it's bothering you, Dave, then change the fucking light. I set up my lights before I record every single time, so I don't understand why you can't do this. Do you think I normally have two umbrellas here? Like, come on. Ugh, my pause finger, you guys. Oof.
Best light in the world, but here we are. And I am...
It is what it is.
To you.
And are you having did you fix your internet issues there, Dave?
Well, I connected to Wi-Fi, so
that
helped.
That will do it.
All right.
Before we get started,
I'm seeing questions in real time. So here's the headline. Wade and I were having a conversation about a year ago, and we were interested ourselves in trying to find a space where we could, as men, roll into a conference and have fun. Let's have a little bit of fun. Is there an opportunity potentially to learn a little bit? Is there maybe the potential for some networking or some masterminding? Like, hey, this person's learned a few things. Is there an opportunity maybe to learn something from them? And it just didn't exist, right?
That for men, that's every conference. Every conference that isn't specifically for women, it is this conference. that he's describing is this description. That ugh, it's so stupid. Like, I mean,
Both role in communities that have historically had more women than men, right?
yeah. See, that's what I was talking about. I swear I'm going to try to stop pausing so much, but he specifically said this, and I specifically made a point about how, um, sure, women are the statistical majority, but they are the social minority because in positions of power, it's men.
Right.
You have the Get Your Teach On conferences. I, with Rachel, was working inside of the Rise world. And those, not that they're like on your side exclusively for men, but the Rise stuff was exclusively for men, for women. And we were like, where can we go? And the answer was, it just didn't exist. So we started to brainstorm, like, what would we create if it were just up to us and what we wanted to try and do for a weekend? And that's what we did. And that's
That is what we
part of why I
did.
get so excited.
And that's how it came to be. It was like we saw a need, and it's something that we wanted. And like you said, people have asked you multiple times, when are you going to have a men's conference? When are you going to? It never felt right.
No one has ever asked that question. Okay? I don't know. He says he saw a need. Where? Where did you see this need?
Right. And this is one of those, I guess, during the season of COVID, and we're still kind of in that season, we figured out that, hey, men need a space. Men need a space where we can just be as vulnerable as possible. And it's something that we've heard about for a long time. And by God, it's time to do it. So that's what we decided to do. And it's going to be an awesome weekend. I'm telling you that. I am amped up. I am pumped.
Yeah. So we're just in real time, like finalizing the
I'm just in real time noticing how much I hate him saying that.
agenda. It starts on the 4th. It goes on all day on the 5th, most of the day on the 6th.
Yep.
And it ends up being this like rad combo of can we create a space that feels a little bit like camp, like literally camp for adults? So we are going to throw some axes. We are going to shoot some bows and arrow. We are going to like
In the wait, was that just my church camp?
have some fun in the outdoors in the way that you might at a camp. Could we also create a space where, in a world where I will admit, like making friendships with other dudes is a tough bit of business, and I am interested in having friendships with other guys.
Maybe it's difficult for you because you're so awkward about it.
Could we maybe create a space where people who are like-minded have an opportunity to connect with other people that are interested in growth, that are interested in centeredness, that are reaching for a better version of themselves? And can we get a bunch of speakers and some activities that might challenge them to become a better version of themselves? And that's what we've created. And so it's like this nice mix. It's not going to feel like medicine. It's not going to feel like Vegas. Hey, let's go crazy and nuts. I think it's going to be like this like nice middle section where you kind of get a little bit of all the things, where we're going to have some meals in a pretty intimate setting. There's going
Is he gonna fuck him?
to be some music. There's going to be some outdoor activities. There's going to be some classroom setting. But when you like experience all of it, hopefully there's some relationships that get formed, and there's going to be some men who walk away feeling like they now have a community of people that they can grow into a better version of themselves with.
Yeah, and as we started planning this conference or this weekend retreat, I think that's kind of what we're calling it now, is a men's weekend. This is a men's weekend. It's more of a retreat to have that space to be able to build those friendships. And one thing that we talked about is we definitely want it to feel intimate. And what better way to do that than have a group of men together in these small groups while they're discussing these workbook activities and
Yeah. really intimate, you guys. He's gonna be it's gonna be really intimate with music. We're gonna have like meals and intimacy and his music, and we're gonna there's gonna be big groups and small groups, and some people are gonna form relationships. Whoo! Oh man, then they both look like they're judging me. I'm sorry, but this is funny. It's like, oh,
These takeaways from the keynotes if they're doing that, but also having these team challenges and having that fun competitive atmosphere is something that we're both about, right? And so along with it being, yes, a super cohesive weekend, it's going to be fun and exciting in a fun and competitive way. And so what we've done is we're going to divide our attendees up into these little small groups led by some incredible men, incredible humans from all walks of life. And that's the other thing too, is we want to break that mold on what a male actually means. What is the stereotype of that, right? And so throughout the weekend, they'll be working in these small groups. They'll be competing in the axe throwing for points and those type of things. They'll be doing those takeaways. I'm a teacher at the end of the day, and I love hands-on lessons. And so this is not a sit and get type of conference. That's one thing. Hi, Heidi. How are you doing? You know what? I saw blonde hair. I was like, open my
of course she's there.
eye. Where's this happening?
Sorry, I'll let you guys continue. It's in my house.
It's
He's
in your
my
house. Yes.
Hi, Wade.
Hello there.
Like part of what I think I love is that like I don't come out of the teaching space like you do. So when it comes to like how best do you land the intended message,
Why are you talking like this?
you have found some ways in the curriculum or in the activities to make sure that we're engaging people in a super engaging way. Again, that like doesn't feel like heavy-handed medicine being handed to you. It's like, no, we're going to have a conversation that is an invitation to own a few things, to have a little bit of fun with a few things, to not take ourselves too seriously, but also seriously enough that we actually walk away with a bit of a plan for where we want to go. I mean, a big part of how I've tended to lead out is having pretty open and transparent conversations about the stuff that I have had to work through in my own life. And I'm going to lead with that so that if there is something that in my transparency or ownership gives people permission to own their own stuff, rad, let's go ahead and do that. But also, we've got this collection of speakers in a guy named Anthony Trucks, who is amazing, just like so in on this conversation around identity, the way that we think of who we are, the way that we shift that identity through time. We've got a guy named Bruce Pitcher, who's amazing, has had a huge transformation himself, and has chosen to see the things that have happened to him as things that have happened for him. Up there,
But they didn't happen through him. I guess they're not familiar with Savvy.
He's going to be up there. Obviously, you, Wade, are going to be up there. But we also, in these team leaders, have people who themselves have been leaders in community, in church, in school, in wherever it is that they're already, doing their life, and bringing a little bit of that leadership to try and provoke a conversation that makes the space feel like, hey, this is okay. This is okay for us to have a conversation about these things. There is no taboo.
Okay, do you know, Dave, do you know that churches have, like, men's groups all the time? Like, that was the first thing I thought of when you said, like, well, there's not a space for this. I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, for people who go to church, like, every church has that. Every church. And you can talk about whatever. Pretty much. This isn't a new concept, and it's not even a necessary concept.
Here, there is no weird here. We're just a bunch of men who are trying to, in an environment that says it's safe and cool, have conversations to like consider what more might look like for each of us.
Oh my God, great. Finally, someone's going to listen to a man's opinion. There's going to be a space where men okay, can talk. You know, other than the entire world. Ugh, just, great.
Yeah, and those speakers and team leaders, the reason why we were so intentional about having this component infused in this weekend is because not everybody's going to identify with you. Not everybody's going to identify with me.
Yeah.
They identify with the team leader, and they're going to have opportunities just like us to share their victories, but also their failures and how they failed forward and what they have learned from. And I cannot wait. I cannot wait because each one of these men, they've poured into me in some type of way, right?
What?
And I cannot wait to share this moment with them. And it's one of those things that I think we take for granted too often of the people we have around us. And going away from this weekend, when the weekend's all over, these men, the attendees, you're going to leave with a new group of friends. It doesn't matter if they live in your town or not. We live in you're in Austin.
The audio cut out there for a second.
I'm over here in Atlanta. We're doing this together. It's something that's not easy, but life's not easy. It's hard, but it can be fun at the same time. So, some questions. You want to dive into some questions I've got?
Oh yeah, let's do it.
Yeah. So, one of the first questions I have is, where is this taking place? There is a website, but go ahead.
It's straight up in my backyard. As much as we're saying it's just outside of Austin, Texas, it is a 10-minute drive from my house in Dripping Springs. The place is a historic camp. It's called Camp Lucy, and it is one of the most beautiful locales. It has the most amazing buildings. There's lodging on site, and it's a camp. So in this world where I'm like, hey, I would love to have the experience that my kids get to have at summer camp, we have created and found a place that actually replicates that kind of activity outdoors, that kind of feel, and that like kind of log cabin-esque buildings, wildlife kind of roaming around as we're in the midst of sessions. It's a beautiful place called Camp Lucy. So you can check out, if you go to the site, our site is congruentlife.com. All of the detail on the venue is right there. It is, it's gorgeous, but it also, I think, tees up the kind of feeling that you want to have if you're going on a retreat kind of weekend.
Yep. And our congruent people, I think Kirby's in here right now. She's dropping where you guys can kind of check that out. But then,
oh, nice.
We also have hotel rooms there. So if you want to stay on site, that's great. If you don't, that's fine too. But we highly encourage you to stay on site because in the morning, Heidi is going to be leading some workouts, some
inspiration. Yes, you are.
Yes, I am.
Oh, could you not find any men who knew how to do workouts? This is so stupid. So not only is it not actually a men's only retreat, what the fuck? This is so stupid. Also, why do you want to repeat camp?
So dress warm for that because it is February. But yeah, you can stay on site. We're going to do that, those things in the morning, and then we'll also feed you if you decide to do that as well.
All right, next question.
Yeah, so next question is, what does
feed you, provide food, or feed you like feed you?
A small group mean?
Right on. So, well, I'm going to even step back just for a second. So the conference is called Congruent. And I think even just define, what does that title even mean? So the idea of Congruent was the question of, hey, if we were to have a conversation with men about what it means to live in integrity, what actions would you need to take today, this only day that you can control, that might allow you to be in integrity with the person you need to be to become the person that you were placed here to be.
Ooh! You could get rid of your Spudman hat. That would boost your integrity.
What would that look like?
Right.
And so
it would look like you not wearing the Spudman hat.
When I've asked this big question of myself lately, how do I feel about myself when I'm by myself? When I'm out of integrity, I tend to feel some shame. I tend to feel down about myself. I have a harder time loving myself. When I'm living in integrity, I tend to love myself more, feel more pride, feel more confident. Great. So the idea of congruence was like, how do we create congruence in our life? Is there a way in community that we could get there together?
So that you can love yourselves together.
If we can understand where we are and cast a vision for where we're headed, maybe we can talk about what it would take every day to live in integrity to get there. And so that's the
What did any of that mean? Seriously. Like, what? I want to know what that means.
hope of this, that we can get together and do that as a crew.
Yeah, and it's intentional. I mean, it was.
You didn't answer the question. Like, what? The question was, what is a small group? You didn't answer the question.
We went back and forth on a lot of different titles and names for what we want to do, and we said, you know what, being congruent, leading a congruent life, that's what it's about. It's not always perfect, and there's all these different components that make us up and all these responsibilities that we have, but how can we symmetrically be aligned in what we do? And that's the other reason why we chose the triangle, right? And so
is that why? What is this, a geometry class?
it's one of those things that's very symbolic, but it's very,
yeah, it is very symbolic.
It's very simple. It's very simple. Really, truly break it down. So I'm glad that you took a moment to explain that. Great opportunity there.
What was the question, though?
Yeah, you didn't answer the question. The fucking question was, what is a small group?
Oh, the question was, what are these small groups? So essentially, what will these small groups be made up of? Another question that relates to that is someone was asking, why hatchet throwing? What does that have to do with anything?
Okay.
Because that's the only cool, really, mask activity they could think of. And that's probably the only actual idea they have. You can do axe throwing at, like, a bar, right? I mean, it's gotta be a pretty, like, rugged bar, but it's not that crazy. You can do axe throwing just about anywhere.
Okay, so the idea of small groups was just this idea of, hey, let's come together and create something that has tended to historically been a little bit of fun when you go to camp, which is competition.
Yes.
Also, let's come together and create a space that might allow people to feel comfortable opening up and diving into some of the things that inevitably you have to dive into if you want to try and grow, but do it in a group that maybe is a little less intimidating because of the size. And so the hope is in small groups that, yep, we're going to create a little bit more of a bond with a smaller group of men. We're going to compete with each other, both in these outdoor activities and some of the in-classroom activities, but that at the end of the day, we're also going to create a safe space where dudes feel like they can actually have a conversation about
every space is a safe space for heterosexual men.
The stuff that they are struggling with or working through, the places where they have an opportunity to continue to grow. And it's going to be facilitated by a small group leader that has themselves been through some transformation, spent time inside of classrooms or church kind of settings, and knows how to start a conversation that can lead to a bigger conversation. And so that's, that was a big idea, I think, around the small groups.
Yep, that's perfect. That's perfect. And it's one of those things to where the vulnerability part, I mean, like you said, it's easier to kind of be more open with 7 to 12 people than it is a large group. And we wanted to provide that opportunity for that. And the men that are going to be leading this are very knowledgeable in all sorts of areas. And like you said, leading. And that's what this is all about too. This wasn't a question, but I saw it a second ago. Someone was asking about a coupon code. Maybe if you bought the book, we'll talk about a coupon code in a second, but I want to refer back to your book. When we were deciding what we wanted the content, because I'm a content person, our conferences, Get Your Teach On, we don't shy away from content. Content is king at the end of the day. And so we talked about it, and I said, you know what? Your book is perfect perfect for this first launch of what we want to do. And
Thanks, brother.
oh yeah, I mean it truly is. I mean it's phenomenal. And what we've done too is we're creating a workbook that goes along with the conference, but the content from this conference is geared around your book, knowing where you are and working through integrity. Can you speak on just a little bit about how this conference is going to be worked out dealing with content?
Yeah. I mean, the idea, I mean, the through line of the book is just this big conceit that, hey, each of us was created with very specific intention in mind, that we have some kind of a responsibility, a mandate to honor the intention of this creator who knew what he was doing.
Let's hope that Dave doesn't talk like this the entire time, because that's going to be really annoying, and then I'm going to have to be like punching you in the face, and then he won't stop, and he'll keep going. Is this a new plan to drum up book sales? I don't understand. Who's gonna go to this?
When he put us here, but we can't do that unless we spend some time really understanding where we are, casting a vision for who we need to become in order to really live into purpose, and then taking the time to get deep into what it's going to take to get there. And so we're going to go through a little bit of that arc in our 2.5 days together, almost 3 days together, to make sure that we do that work. Spend some time understanding where we're at, cast that vision, work together in those small groups to understand where we think we need to go, and what right now is the delta that exists between where we are and where we need to be. What are the steps we're going to need to take to get there? And the speakers that we have, the activities that we have, the workbook we have, all of it acts as a facilitator to get us through that exercise so that you start getting a little more comfortable and familiar with where you're at. And
it's not going to be Delta that's between you. It's going to be Omicron.
And have a bit of a conversation about where you're going to go, what it's going to take.
Yeah, I mean, it's important that we know. I mean, I grew up in church, and one thing that was always said to me is showing up at church on Sunday is a Saturday decision. And that's what this February conference, this weekend retreat is all about. It's showing up, knowing exactly where you want to get by the end of the year, what that goal may be, what you're setting out to do, but making a decision right then and there. If you're coming already, or if the man in your life is already coming, they've decided to do that, they've already made the decision to show up. They've already made the decision to, hey, this is what I'm going to do, and this is what I'm going to pour into. And so I'm amped up. I'm super excited. I'm going to be learning. You're going to be learning with all these individuals, and it's going to be a great bonding moment. I only have one more question, and then we can talk about some other things too.
So all I've heard is talking in small groups and axe throwing. What are you going to do?
The other question is, where'd it go? It was, so what does so early bird, and now this is logistics. What does early bird mean? And is the price going up? And that's on the website as well, but you can speak on that if you like.
Yeah, so the tickets have been available for a little bit of time. We're about halfway through what is a limited inventory of tickets. So this is going to be a small conference. We're going to keep it small intentionally to make sure we get it right, have it feel intimate. But early bird pricing is something that after January 1st, the price jumps up by $100. So we're trying something of an incentive for people to consider this for Christmas gifts, for gifting opportunities. And after January 1st, it's going to just be a little bit more expensive. So if you are interested or think that there's a person in your life, a man in your life that would be interested in this, there's a slightly reduced rate, a $100 discount that exists between now and January 1.
There we go.
There we go.
Super simple, super simple. We do have, Kirby just texted me. Let's see. People want to know, people want to know how to connect with others that are attending. So Kirby suggested go to our Instagram page. Go to our Instagram page. We have a Facebook page as well. Get connected there, and then we'll see where we're at.
And I will be checking in vacation mode on Grindr to see who is there.
We don't have any big plans for an app or anything yet, but maybe later on down the road. Yes, our Instagram is Congruent Life. Okay,
Yep.
so you guys can check that out there. What is the max size for the conference? So the max numbers, 350 at the moment, 350 people, and tickets are going. So limited capacity. We've been working with Camp Lucy to try to increase that. We'll see if it happens.
Yep.
That's a great question.
I wouldn't worry about it.
I don't see any more. Do you see any more on your end, Dave?
I did not see any more.
Okay.
The cool thing is, like, this is one of those, like, choose your adventure kind of things. As we sit in our planning meetings, as we sit with the people that we are commissioning to do some of the work in small groups or some of the speakers, it's actually, I was saying in my stories, like, it's 90% exciting, 10% terrifying, because we haven't done this before as much as we've been party to big events
Right.
that have primarily catered, again, to women. Doing something like this, like, we created something that didn't exist for us, and so the decision to do it was to try and make something that we ourselves would want to go to. And I'm excited about all that it will be, but I'm also, like, this is not a tested, we haven't proven necessarily the test of this yet, so we're going as far as we can to make sure that it's going to be a thing that exceeds expectation. When I look at the agenda, I just get so excited about all come together, the speakers, the activities, the way that we're
Do you care to tell us about any of them?
trying to mix up that fun and everything else. So I'm excited.
I'm super excited, and I'm the same way. Every time I look at the agenda, I'm like, this is something that I would go to, and this is something that I would take away. And again, content is king. I mean, as a teacher, if you're not able to teach something that the kids can take away, same thing for this conference, same thing for this weekend. We want these men to take ideas away. We want them to hear from our failures. We want them to share their failures, but more importantly, we want to be able to serve. And at the end of the day, that's what we're here to do.
Yep.
I see Leonard's in here. He's one of our team leaders, one of the best principals I know. Leonard, let's go. But he's going to be fantastic. So if you're going to be in Leonard's group, you're blessed. You're blessed. But we're going to have music, guys. We're going to have music. We're going to have fun, hatchet throwing. We're going to shoot some arrows. We're going to play some cornhole. And you're maybe like, what in the world does this have to do with? Promise. If you know anything about what my wife and I do, we think outside of the box with education. So we're thinking outside the box with this, and it's going to make sense. You don't even know. You don't even want to. And the other thing, so see, I'm amping up. I'm getting super excited. The other thing, I've had some of my some of our male attendees from Get Your Teach On reach out to me, say, I just won't know anybody there. I'm a very introverted person. That's okay. That's absolutely okay. And that's the other reason why we wanted to intentionally make these small groups, so you aren't feeling left out, or you aren't feeling anxious about meeting someone else. We promise you. Hayward's in here too. Hayward Jean, I promise you, with Hayward and Leonard, ain't nobody going to be left out of nothing.
Yeah, it's interesting because, like, some of it is very much like we're trying to organize and create frameworks and structure, but some of it is what happens around a campfire. Like, what if we're creating space for connection at the end of a day where we've challenged people to think about things that they don't normally necessarily have to think about.
Oh, wow. Freeform time around a campfire. What a revolutionary concept. That's never existed before, you guys. There's never been a space for men to gather around a fire and talk.
And so, it's like the combo of structure and unstructured, the like indoor and outdoor, the classroom and the fun. The hope is that blend ends up having people walk away feeling like
high and low, hot and cold.
Man, I didn't know I needed this as much as I did, but I got a little taste of something, and now I have some connecting tissue with other humans that I'm going to stay connected to. And that's everything.
That's it. I couldn't explain it any better, and that's exactly what we want.
Really? You're a teacher, and that's the best you can do for explaining?
To provide our community of men.
Yeah.
And to do. We're doing the best we can, 110% in, guys.
Yeah. All right, what else, brother? What else are we going to tell these good people?
Well, I think we have a before we get off, I do think that we have a discount, $50 discount. So if you're still here and the man in your life, or if you are a man and you want to come, it's $50 discount.
I don't have to pay to come.
If you use promo code, I think Instagram. Yeah, Instagram. Right. There you go, because you were here and you stayed this whole time. Instagram is the promo code. Kirby, if you could put that in there in the chat real quick so they can see that, that'd be awesome. But yeah, I mean, that's it. If anyone has any questions, feel free to drop them in. But we have families, obviously. That's why we are creating this conference, and we have priorities. And it is evening time.
Time to go hang out. I mean, I have kids, but my kids are not here. I got a Heidi. I'm going to go take her out to dinner.
I'm kind of a kid.
Yeah, she's kind of a kid.
Where are y'all going?
We're going to go get ourselves some dinner. We're also maybe Mexican food. We're also maybe going to drop dinner off at Mama's house. So there you go.
So real quick, your grandma's birthday is the 3rd, right?
My grandma's was the 3rd of December. Yeah.
Mine too.
No. We had a good.
Do you know that you're still alive?
We had a good time. I'll tell you what. We had a good time celebrating Grandma Lee on Sunday. All the people were there. It was unbelievable. So it was rad.
Yeah. Oh, I did have this question.
Do you want us to go or?
Last week it was cisgender. God, it doesn't matter. Doesn't matter if you're a cisgender. If you identify as, come on. We are wide open.
Yep, 100%. All right. We are going to head out to our dinner, head out to your kiddos. If anyone has any questions, shoot Wade a DM, shoot me a DM. We will get back to every single question that exists.
Absolutely.
Is a Congruent Life Instagram profile. You can follow that or shoot that a DM. Every single question will be answered. And we're super excited. If you didn't hear Wade say, if you head over to congruentlife.com, use the code Instagram when you are checking out, $50 off for the next 24 hours. So make sure that. And man, we're super excited. We can't wait to see all y'all in Dripping Springs, 4th through the 6th of February. It's going to be a good time.
All right, brother. I love you.
Oh man. Oh, that just made my skin crawl. That sounds like the most awkward, utterly useless, pointless, cringiest, most uncomfortable waste of fucking time you could possibly have. And I think it's $200 if you buy before the new year. $200. Are you kidding me? I cannot even imagine how incredibly awkward, unnecessary, and utterly useless that is going to be. Oh. And I also cannot imagine being in a relationship where that was gotten for me as a gift. Like, why do you hate me? Okay. Oh, big yikes. Oh, Captain, my Captain. Yikes. All right, everybody. I've been Mac. Peace out. Bye!
That I'd seen